Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Now and forever.
In today's Gospel we see an important way in which Christ fulfills the Mosaic Law. He teaches us what was implicit in the fifth commandment, do not kill. It's broken not only by physically killing a person, but also by the hatred and contempt that are the motivation for murder. And this is so even when the hatred is not so great as to lead to murder. No, I don't want to kill him, I just like to hurt him a lot. This is the interior dimension of God's law. Human law can only judge on the basis of what appears externally, because this is the only possible evidence. God sees and judges the heart, and so anger and hatred are sins even if they're not manifested externally. It's when the problem of the scribes and Pharisees was to understand God's law like human law, as if what they did in their heart, what they thought in their heart, whether it was good or bad, pure or impure, was of no importance, as it is of no importance to the human law, because the law cannot see and judge that. But God does see it and judge it, and hates evil in our hearts. The anger that God prohibits is unjust and willful anger. Anger can be just, it can be proportionate to something that is a real injustice, as it was in the case of our Lord when he cleansed the temple. But in our case, where our pride distorts our sense of what is just, where we are often unaware of important facts that make the difference between whether something is just or unjust. In our case, it's probably better to be suspicious of our sense that something is unjust, at least until we can think it through and see more clearly. And so the feeling of anger, obviously we have feelings of anger, and these don't become a sin as long as they're not voluntary. When the feeling first comes, our will hasn't had anything to do with it yet. It's just an immediate reaction. But then if the will accepts the anger, even though it knows or suspects that it is unjust, then we have a sin. Christ indicates three levels of gravity in terms that are somewhat, three levels of gravity of sin. And the terms he uses are somewhat obscure to us, but when he mentions Gehenna, it's clear that he's talking about a mortal sin. So anger can be a venial sin, it can be a more serious venial sin, or it can even be a mortal sin. And so the sin is grave when it deliberately wills serious harm to someone's body, soul, property, or reputation. And that a key word here is deliberately, because our immediate reaction to something might be, I'm going to kill him. But that immediate reaction is not something that's deliberate yet. And so in our society, killing is generally recognized as something extremely bad and off limits. Death is the worst thing that our society can imagine. But other kinds of harm are considered legitimate weapons. So those who hate, since they are prohibited by their sense of what is right from taking a life, at least want to ruin a life. So they try to get their enemies fired, or altogether cancelled from society, turned into pariahs with whom no one will associate. And in order to achieve this end, they'll also violate other commandments, like the commandment about the truth, and engaging in slander, or revealing things that, while they are true, they have no right to reveal. So this too is a violation of the fifth commandment, this destroying a person even without doing any kind of physical violence. It's just another kind of killing, a sort of social killing. Killing the person's social figure and often placing them in a very difficult and distressing circumstance that might even lead to suicide. Jesus also speaks about the need to reconcile with our brother. This not only because we must not harbor anger against our brother, but seek to reconcile with him, but also because we should by asking forgiveness for our offenses against our brother, even if they were unintentional, we take away his reason to be angry with us. And thus we show care for our neighbor's soul as charity requires. So do not kill also means do not spiritually kill your neighbor. Do not drive him to commit sin. In addition to showing us these requirements of the law, Christ also gives us the sacraments so that we can have the grace to do what his law requires. Our verse for the Alleluia says, I give you a new commandment, love one another as I have loved you. So, given that tomorrow is the Solemnity of the Sacred Heart, it's fitting to reflect on the contrast between the hatred that often fills the hearts of men and the pure love of the Sacred Heart. The heart of Jesus is all love. He cannot not love. He cannot not give himself, because he is God and God is love. And so even as man, he is love, pure love. Nothing can stop his love except sin, which is the denial of love. Sin is his mortal enemy. It is sin that crucified him on Calvary, and it is sin that continues to crucify him in the hearts of those who commit mortal sin. His heart is a burning furnace of charity, as the Litany of the Sacred Heart says. The furnace is a vivid image of the fiery love that fills the heart of Jesus. Other images are also applied to the heart of Jesus: a heaven of love, or an ocean of charity, or an abyss, or a volcano, or a fire of love. But no image can completely represent what the heart of Jesus is, because this is a love which is, if not, well, certainly infinite as far as his love as God goes, and the greatest love that there is in the universe as far as his human love goes. And so, how can words express this great love? St. Alphonsus, reflecting on it, exclaims, "Oh, if we understood the love that burns for us in the heart of Jesus! He has loved us so much that if we were to put together all the love of which men, saints, and angels are capable, it would come only to 1,000th part of the love that Jesus Christ bears towards us." So Jesus took the heart of St. Margaret Mary. He revealed his sacred heart to her. And as he did, he took her heart and put it in his own to set it aflame with charity. That burning furnace of charity is a furnace to set our hearts aflame. And we can do that to some extent by considering his love, by trying to imitate his love. But we must ask for this grace of loving. And so let us ask him to do this for us, to place our hearts in his heart, to set them aflame with love, so that it will be impossible for us to hate our neighbor or to be indifferent to him. And we will go from glory to glory, reflecting on the face of the Lord. Praise be Jesus and Mary.
Would like to grow in love and knowledge of the Immaculate Virgin Mary? Consider a subscription to the Missio Immacolate magazine. The Missio is a bi-monthly magazine published by the Franciscans of the Immaculate for over 15 years. Every issue of the Missio features articles about Our Lady's privileges and her mission in the Church and world for the sanctification and conversion of souls. The Missio takes to heart the ancient saying of the Church, De Maria nunquam satis, of Mary you can never say enough. You can subscribe online at missiomagazine.com, that's MISSIO, magazine.com, or go to the homepage of avemaria.com. Back issues of the Missio are also available upon request. The Missio is a practical way to behold your mother and take her into your home. Ave Maria.